remember I did a video like this a long time ago. This is back when I had long hair, and I think it was the beginning of ASMR. I think it was the beginning when I did ASMR. I can't remember, but my old subscriber from a long time ago, who still watches my videos. Back then he was called Whisper Tension. Goes by OG ASMR now on his channel. And I used to like listen to the Brony things. Brony is basically if you're a male, a boy or a man. It depends. It's kind of both. But any version of a male, really, who watches My Little Pony, Friendship is Magic, like this version. And now, of course, for girls or women who watched it, obviously it would be called the Pegasus sister. So obviously being now as a male, yeah, Brony. Now some stuff I don't originally have. Now surprisingly, I actually got these at a claw machine in Wildwood last year, which I was surprised. I was like, with the new one that came out. I haven't seen the new show yet. Now, when it comes to just from like scenes I've seen, I'm like, I'm not very impressed. But I don't know. I haven't seen an actual episode, so I don't know. I would have to see like the newer version, since My Little Pony and Friendship is Magic was off air and discontinued. But once in a while you can find these things at stores still. Not as much, but Yes, I got Rainbow Dash. As you can tell. Very soft. And of course my favorite of all time, Fluttershy. Now I couldn't get her out the machine so easily. So I ended up spending a ridiculous amount of money over and over again, and a lot of frustration and annoyance just to get out the claw machine, because they kept on grabbing it and dropping it. I couldn't get out the claw machine, and I ended up spending, I probably spent $10, $20, maybe more, on the claw machine, and this was a 25-cent claw machine. So as you can imagine, when you do the math, yes, I played it. I was sweating. It was September last year, so it was still hot in Jersey. So my hair was completely wet. I'm sweating. I'm like, I really want this. Damn it, she's my favorite pony. But I show my collection, and so show my collection. And then I know. Remember, he used to be interested at one point in seeing those videos, and others were too. And seeing my Brony stuff. When I was in the Brony fandom, I still like it. I still watch it. But mostly on DVD, because you can't watch on TV anymore for obvious reasons. But this is stuff I bought when My Little Pony Friendship is Magic was in its prime, and it was still going to be on for a while. There's actually, I'll tell you about that afterwards. Yes, this is my comic. Let's see if you can see. Did you see it? These are the comic books I got. My Little Pony Friends Forever. My Little Pony Friendship is Magic. Friends Forever. Never Friends Forever. Never Friends Forever. And Never Friends Forever. And I didn't realize at the time this was basically the same comic book, just different art designs. So I was like, are you kidding me? It's like, damn, I hate that. But, we can do. I wish I would say that's all. I got this DVD. I had to get more. But that's the first request here, girls. French, Cutie More Quests. Every pony's favorite frights. Twilight and Starlight episodes. Fluttershy, because like I said, she's my favorite of all time. So as soon as I saw that at Target, I went crazy. I ran up to it. I was like, okay, I gotta buy it no matter what. And of course, My Little Pony, the movie. Which, yes, I did see in a movie theater, and I bought it the first day it came on DVD. Because at the time, like I said, I like My Little Pony, but at the time when it first came out, and I was just like, yeah, it's a kid's show, whatever, who cares? Something from because originally it was in the 80s, because there's an 80s version, but the 80s version was kind of boring. And I don't know if I showed would like to. I would love to more than anything to read that for a video, but I said I don't know who the heck emailed to do that. If they allow me to do it, that'd be great. But and but yeah, so put that back up here. Yeah, so basically what happened was I remember it was like 2000. I'm trying to remember what the hell it was. It had to be when I remember because I first heard Brony's and I was like, oh, this is crazy. But if it was goofy, so I thought I'd give it a try. And and like everybody else, like I gave it a try. I watched it on Netflix at the time. At the time I had Netflix, but that's only because my stepfather had it. I never had a Netflix account because, well, I hate Netflix. I'll be the first to say, they got, if it wasn't for Netflix, Blockbuster would be around, and then I was in love with Blockbuster. I love Blockbuster, especially as an early 90s millennial. So, for, obvious reasons, I don't like Netflix. And I just don't like the whole streaming thing. It doesn't make sense to me. Usually when it comes to it, I like Hulu better, if I'm being honest. I can't completely trash it's streaming, even though, obviously, as you can tell, I love physical copies because I own it. I can watch it whenever I want. I can bring it wherever the hell I want. Where streaming, as soon as they don't have the rights anymore to show it, poof, it disappears, and it's like, good luck finding it unless you have a physical copy. And I'm like, and that's why I say all the time. That's why I always say it's always best to have physical copies, because if it's something you really like a lot and you want to watch it, if the streaming stuff has it, it's gonna go boop bloop. It's just gonna disappear like out of thin air. But yeah, so basically I watched it, and then eventually but I was afraid. I was really afraid to because I was afraid, what if people think I'm this, or what if people think I'm, this or that? Because at the time I was afraid, I'm straight. I'll say I'm straight, but I was afraid people would think that I wasn't. Because my stepfather, like I said, in other videos, I grew up around, a lot of women growing up, because my father left. And my stepfather would sometimes, unfortunately, and some of our men in my family would make fun of me and poke fun of me, saying, oh, you're too feminine, you need to stop acting feminine because you look gay when you act feminine, or this or that. I'm like, okay, well, I'm not. And certain friends, one friend who I did have when he was alive, unfortunately, he passed away from AIDS. Unfortunately, which is sad because he was a good friend. But and friends who are gay, and I'm like, to their mind, I tell them, it's like, I know people who are gay, and I think they would take that to an offense. I said, yeah, I don't understand. I'm not that way, so I don't understand. The whole thing about it. But it's like, but I'm saying, I tell them, it's like, don't say shit like that. It's like, I have people who are that way. People who are gay. Don't, to me, that's not, what I do. It's not what I prefer. But that's what they prefer, and they're good people. They're nice people. Especially when I was growing up, I didn't have many friends. So it's like, I would defend my friends and people I care about. Even you guys, I would defend people to I'm sorry, so I'm right in the face. Even you guys, on YouTube too. If we were doing a live stream or something like that, and someone starts talking smack about you guys, right away, I wouldn't put up with it. I would literally tell them, I was like, all right, you need to knock it off. It's like, we may be strangers on YouTube, but this is my YouTube family, and I'm gonna protect them like I would my own family. So don't start stuff. But anyway, if we get off topic, but like I said, it might be an open book and just explain exactly what I was thinking at the time, what I'm thinking now, and just there's that water, and now, of course, I used to have the shirts. I used to have the shirts that had all the characters. It looked like it was like one of those Street Fighter kind of choose your character, or Mortal Kombat choose your character, to make it look like there were characters who were gonna fight each other. I wish I had that shirt. That was such a cool shirt. I had this nice Princess Luna shirt once too. I don't remember what happened to that one though. I know they both wouldn't fit now because like I said in live stream, I've gained weight. Unfortunately, I have a big stomach. way bigger than that's way bigger than what would fit. But like I said, I like it baggy and big. So, plus if it's baggy, because I'm I get a bit self-conscious about my body, since my stomach is big. Obviously I try to wear a ridiculously extra big shirt, so because it hides it, it makes me look skinnier, so I feel better about myself. And I used to have a Pinkie Pie hoodie I used to wear that was pink, like really, really girly hot pink, which of course I was afraid to wear too. I sometimes would wear it in public, but I was kind of afraid. But at the time too, I liked doing it because at the time I was into the whole femboy thing. It probably sounds crazy, for a straight guy like me to be into femboy things, but I don't know. I was interested in it at the time. Like I said, I would have the pink My Little Pony hoodie. I would paint my nails black. Paint my nails black. Sometimes, but of course, like I said, I used to play guitar too, so that might be partially why too. And sometimes I would have eye mascara I would wear. I don't know. It's not something I do now, but at the time I was curious. I don't know. I was just curious about makeup at the time. That's not something I usually admit because I kind of get embarrassed. I get a little embarrassed to admit it. But being this is our YouTube family. It's kind of something that I'm kind of okay saying. I'm still even right now saying I'm kind of feeling nervous. I'm wondering if I should have said it because I get a little embarrassed by it because I worry about what people will think. But I know this was a request video too, so like I said, I'll just say whatever I say. Say whatever I'm comfortable with. And so for the most part, I'm comfortable with it, but deep inside, my mind's like, I don't know. What do people think, this or that? But yeah, you guys wanted to see a collection video, so I definitely wanted to show a video like this of my collection stuff. And of course, there's one that's, I think it's called Pea Shed, and I don't know, it was some strange name. I can't remember their channel. It was like Pea Shed or something weird like that. And then some other Ashmed or something. I don't know. It was like some weird name they had. But basically, they do. What's it called? It's called Pony Meets World. So exactly what it sounds like. They use CGI special effects to put the My Little Pony characters in real life, and they do like these little short films. But yeah, it's called Pony Meets World. Now, when it comes to Pony Meets World, after watching, not that it's two guys in all three, but it started off at two. They did all this in Florida, and eventually they actually had people who are viral from My Little Pony, Brony kind of fandom, and it was like I was like, oh damn it! I wish I was near Florida. I wouldn't mind being in that video. That would have been awesome. I know they kind of do it now with newer versions, but I like the OG versions from because they first started it in 2014 and stuff. And that's what I was watching when they first came out. It's actually what got me into the fandom to begin with. And at first too, I was kind of embarrassed to be called Brony because I was afraid, like I said, because I was afraid what people were gonna think. Think that I'm a weirdo or something like that. Until I saw more people in the fandom, and I saw that there were guys and girls that were doing it, and I'm like, I was like, well, we got these men and women who are doing it, and they're not ashamed or embarrassed. So I said, I guess it's nothing to be embarrassed about. So I'm kind of afraid to, I remember looking at my girlfriend. I was so scared to tell her that because I was afraid what she was gonna think. Now, of course, she does. She admits said that, well, it seems a little bit, to me it is a little strange, because it's something that's, not meant for, boys are meant to watch. I was like, well, I don't know. I said, I don't know. I said, well, some women watch it too. They're Peggy sisters, and the boys are men, or bronies. And I showed her fandom, and I showed her the fandom too, and everything else, but she kind of was like, kind of Lisa was like, well, if that's what you like, I'm not going to judge you on it. I'm just going to think it's just, like she said, I don't understand it, but makes you happy. I was like, well, yeah. I was like, well, I like this show because, life lessons. They have good life lessons. And, the lessons that the show were good. Positive thing. And you haven't seen that in a while. Like, I haven't seen that in a while in a kid's cartoon. Like, remember, like, when I was a kid, there was a show called Captain Planet. You had G.I. Joe. Johnny Quest. Like, you have all these different shows that were good like that. It would teach you different stuff. There used to be G.I. Joe action hero kind of commercial cartoons that would say, like, stay off drugs, and stay off this, do good, don't, get involved in this kind of crime, don't get involved in crime. And that's why I liked My Little Pony. It reminded me so much of that. It reminded me of that too. So it kind of like gave me that feeling. Just like when you get older, you kind of like you miss those days, And just watching My Little Pony, it just kind of reminds me of that, It just reminds me of that, especially since too, I like it too because, growing up, I was always bullied a lot and stuff like that. So I never really got to, have, a good childhood, and stuff like that. So kind of, I guess in a way, it kind of gave me a chance to see what it could be like to just feel like a kid again, and stuff. I don't know, maybe it's just me. Maybe it's just me and just a trauma that I've been through, and stuff like that, maybe. But and maybe that since I'm on, Asperger's, since I have Asperger's, so so a form of autism, not full-on autism, but a form of autism, stuff like that. But I don't know. But I don't know. I'm just rambling. I'm just rambling about BS just to make this video as long as possible. But I'm running out of things to say and running out of stories to talk about. I'm trying to say as much as I can without feeling like uncomfortable. But yeah, I hope you enjoyed this video. Actually, now that I think of it too, I used to have this Rainbow Dash book bag that looked like she was holding onto your back and putting her head over your shoulder, kind of like Yoda from Star Wars when Yoda rides Luke's back. It was like that, but it was a backpack, but it looked like she's holding onto your shoulders and your back, and she's nuzzling her head over your shoulder. It was funny, but of course, being a Star Wars fan, I was like, oh God, I gotta get this. This is so stupid. So I definitely had to get that one because it was so funny. I was like, my mother was like, oh God. I was like, what is she, Yoda? I was like, are you Luke and she's Yoda? I'm like, that's kind of why I bought it, because that's what it reminded me of. I said, as stupid as that may sound, I think it's kind of funny. Cute and funny, but yeah. But yeah, definitely, Rainbow Dash is definitely, Fluttershy definitely is my favorite pony of all time. But of course, because she's like me too, extremely shy and stuff like that. And that's how I am in real life. Like in real life, like people, and like if ever people meet me in real life, definitely don't be surprised if I barely have anything to say and I get like really scared or nervous to talk. Because usually when it comes to new people, I've always been like, because I always had a problem with being shy, and like in large crowds. Like recently I was at a large crowd at a party for my grandfather, and I had to bring a fidget toy because I need like fidget sensory toys to help calm my nerves, because I get when there's a large amount of people, especially if it's in close proximity or like a small room. Although I feel claustrophobic, but I get really, really nervous and a little bit self-conscious because I worry about what if this person thinks I'm too quiet, or what if this person thinks this or that, or oh my, which is basically, and that's what it's a psychological thing that they call catastrophizing. Basically, catastrophizing means that it's like you think of the worst things that could happen instead of thinking you'll be fine. You think, what if this happens? What if this happens? What if this happens? What if this happens? And unfortunately, my brain, the way it works, it catastrophizes a little too much, especially when if it's something that triggers my anxiety, which and that does too. That triggers extreme anxiety and stuff like that. Which is I'm not proud of it. I don't like it. I wish that it wasn't that way, but it's the truth, and I'm not afraid to tell people that. Especially so if people see me, so if I ever went viral and I was YouTube famous and stuff like that, it's kind of my way of giving people heads up, like, it's nothing against you. It's just, I just get nervous because I'm worried about saying the wrong thing to you, and you might take it the wrong way when I'm trying to say, because I might say something in a normal way that to me sounds like it's just basic physically, just with her words. Like she would say some extremely mean, cold-hearted things. So, because of those experiences and that partial trauma, which I don't want to get involved in. That's not even the whole thing. That's just a part of it. But I don't want to really get involved in it because I'll get really anxious. I mean, I'm already getting a little anxious thinking about it. And everything else like that. So, it's nothing against you. It's just, I'm afraid. I just don't want to. I don't want to get too nervous. Or, like I said, I don't want to, say the wrong thing because I worry about that. But I know you didn't. I know you guys do care too. It's like that's why sometimes too it takes me time to respond because I worry about what if I said the wrong way. What was the best way of saying it? There's gotta be, what I'm saying. But anyway, I'm bugging off topic and bullshit about nonsense. Like I said, I want an excuse to make this long, to feel long. So I said, I don't know. I want you to go on about something random. But you don't have to do that. That's why I like Fluttershy, because she's like me, really shy and wants to talk to people and loves the idea of talking to people. But your brain is so shy that it makes it difficult to just do basic interaction. It can be very difficult due to the shyness. Now, why I'm not shy all my life, I have no idea. Like, I used to be so bad that people actually thought I was going to be nonverbal autistic. As crazy as it sounds. Because I barely talked. I barely said anything. Like, in my own family was believing it and saying that me and my own family who, didn't always believe in my disabilities even thought that I was going to be nonverbal. But that's a story for a whole other time. But yes, some people in my family actually argued to school and argued with the psychiatrist and said that I wasn't autistic, which many studies were done which shown that yes, I have Asperger's. But unfortunately, some people in my family, like especially the older generation of my family, didn't want to listen to it, and they just would get annoyed. And unfortunately, when I did something wrong, they would get annoyed and yell at me. So and of course, of course, is an extremely big trigger for me. But anyway, before I tell you a whole life story about my mental psychosis, or to put it simply, so I don't bore you with my whole, the way my brain thinks, I guess you could say, all that, historically what I went through, so I'm bored the heck out of you. Unless people do care to hear it, then I could tell whatever I can. It's up to you, but it's not easy to hear, but I'd be willing to. Anyway, that's it. This video, since I stalled as long as I could, I'm literally my brain's a blank state. I can't even think of anything else. It's like a blank piece of paper. So I hope you enjoyed this video. Remember, like, comment, subscribe, share my videos.